Guatemala is a small Central American third world or developing country, bordered by Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. It is a Spanish-speaking country with a population of roughly 16 million citizens. In addition, Guatemala is a country that is rampant with political corruption. In fact, its president just resigned this past September after being charged with racketeering and corruption. That being said, unfortunately, with a yearly per capita income of 3,673 US dollars, it is one of the poorest countries in the world, despite the fact that it has an incredibly low unemployment rate of 2.9%. As with many poor countries, Guatemala has a drastically low median age of 19 years old, leading to its labor force being formulated of only 39% of the population. This creates a sort of vacuum where not many people are able to work, but there are many mouths to feed. One reason that the people of Guatemala have such a large youth population is because the citizens obviously have a lot of children. There are three complementary reasons for this. One is because the people of Guatemala oftentimes work their own land in order to make a living. This being said, it would make sense that they need children to help them do this. Secondly, Guatemalan people don't have access to Social Security and other government supplementary programs like we do. Due to this, the people of Guatemala will have lots of children to ensure that they have someone to care for them if they fall ill. Lastly, Guatemala has the highest infant mortality rate in the region. With over 1 out of every 20 children dying before the age of 5, the people of Guatemala unfortunately have to have many children to ensure that at least a few will survive. This clearly puts the Guatemalan people in a cycle of oppression and forces many of its citizens to live at a much lower standard than other parts of the world. With a whopping 75% of the citizens living below the poverty line, it is no surprise that only 23% of the citizens have access to the internet. This is very detrimental because Guatemalans struggle to connect with outsiders in order to ask for help to better themselves. With poverty being the largest social and economical issue in the country, it is very upsetting to find that Guatemala spends the least in the region on social programs. This negligence by the government leads to even more social issues for its people, such as chronic malnutrition, a lack of quality education, and a lack of a decent basic primary healthcare system for their citizens. Fortunately, there are private nonprofits working to help correct these social and economical deficits. One of the larger organizations that is helping to do this is the Mayan Families Organization. They focus on creating education, schools, and bettering the lives of the poor indigenous people and specifically families in Guatemala. Mayan Families has worked hard towards this goal by creating social change in Guatemala. One of their main focuses is creating sustainable programs that allow the people to ultimately help themselves. Mayan Families has given scholarships to over 3,000 students, runs over 8 schools in Guatemala, has distributed over 2,000 fuel-efficient stoves, given out thousands of water filters, and built dozens of homes. All of these acts allow the Guatemalan people to go on and sustain themselves. Since 2004, Mayan Families has built a strong reputation in Guatemala and is one of the top charities in the country. They strive to continue to give Guatemalans the power to help better their lives over the period of the long term. From this information, I have realized that the people of Guatemala are affected by their own sort of cycle of socialization. The people of Guatemala that are objected to poverty just believe this is what life consists of. They are socialized to believe that it is normal for children to die young or to never have any proper education. Especially with the lack of regular access to the internet, it is easy to see how they would only see the world around them. They don't realize the social injustices that they are forced to deal with day in and day out. This is why it's important for organizations like Maya Families to implement programs that promote social reform and ultimately allows for the liberation of the Guatemalan people.